From a regulatory perspective, the Anti-Entrepreneurship Policy Framework focuses on key issues which have the greatest relevance for startup activities. The underlying assumption is that the regulatory environment should be optimized. It goes beyond simplification of procedures. It should create a framework to encourage entrepreneurs to set up their own businesses, to try new business ideas, and to take on calculated risk, keeping administrative burdens to the minimum required to support public policy and sustainable development objectives. A checklist may assist stakeholders in the process of the policy design stage to gather information on the baseline and monitor progress against it regularly. Let's have a close look to each component of the framework. Examine regulatory requirements for startups. The first step in assessing if your country's regulatory environment is conducive to business is to understand the extent to which existing rules and procedures may hold back entrepreneurial activity. This implies distinguishing between regulations that are essential for the functioning of businesses but can be simplified. Others that produce more cost than benefits should be abolished. The tools to carry out this assessment may include benchmarking. This can draw on numerous systems of indicators that are published on an annual basis by international organizations such as the World Bank. Ease of doing business. It is also important to set up regular national surveys, introducing national indicators and benchmarks. Evaluating specific sectors and regions and assess whether specific licenses or administration requirements are justified or not. Again, it is useful to compare such requirements against international experiences or between regions or sectors. Ranking alone, however, tell little about optimal levels of regulation because country conditions vary considerably, and services and governments have different preferences with regards to regulation. It is therefore necessary to obtain feedback directly from users, the entrepreneurs. Developing a public-private dialogue on the costs and benefits of regulation. This should conduce to establishing a private-public sector committee or forum that can incrementally develop a shared understanding and step-by-step without unnecessary regulation and improve the remaining ones. At the European Union, the Lisbon European Council, as part of the new open method of coordination, called for a formal program to benchmark the time and cost involved in setting up an enterprise, including headline benchmarks, the outcomes of the business registration process, especially the time, cost, and capital needed to complete mandatory procedures. Operational benchmarks, measure of the administrative process, such as the number of procedures, documents, and forms. Performance drivers, indicators of the underlying causes of the outcomes, such as the information and communication technology and management processes. Qualification, licenses, and permits. The sector-specific qualification and qualified standards, the activity-specific licenses, and the employment-related licenses that an entrepreneur must obtain while setting an enterprise. Discretionary, non-mandatory activities, the other non-mandatory activities that a prudent entrepreneur undertake while setting an enterprise, such as developing a business plan and obtaining finance. Minimizing regulatory hurdles for business startups. Many countries continue to work to reduce or eliminate obstacles to businesses, including bureaucratic procedures and transparency issues, such as lack of accurate information or costly and time-consuming custom procedures. Often, procedures for startups can be abolished without any negative side effects. 3 measures have shown to be particularly successful in this regard. They are introducing a fast-track mechanism, one-stop shops to bundle procedure, and introduction of ICT-based procedures for business registration and reporting. For example, modern e-solutions make setting up and running a business in Estonia quick and easy. They include digital signatures, electronic tax claims, and e-business registry. Estonia is one of the countries where the highest number of startups per capita are launched in Europe. Similarly, by introducing the UNCTAD e-registration system, the government of El Salvador has put entrepreneurs at the center of e-governance, offering them an online database where they can register, save and consult all documents related to their business identity. Build entrepreneurs' confidence in the regulatory environment. A sound regulatory framework is one that operates based on predictability and transparency, as well as proper enforcement mechanisms. It is important to emphasize the importance of the quality of the regulatory enforcement, which remains a challenge for a number of national regulators. Another main element is related to entrepreneurs' awareness, educating entrepreneurs and guide them on how to comply with laws and regulations. A good example of an institution set up to create an enabling environment that builds trust among the stakeholders is the Rwanda Development Board, RDB. It was set up by bringing together all the government agencies responsible for the entire investor experience under one roof. This includes key agencies responsible for business registration, investment promotion, environmental clearances, privatization, and specialist agencies which support the priority sector of ICT and tourism, as well as SMEs and human capacity development in the private sector. The RDB is an independent and influential. It reports directly to the President. The RDB is built with global expertise. It is modeled on international best practice examples such as Singapore and Costa Rica. It has an advisory board and hands-on support from global entrepreneurs and experts from Singapore Development Board, the World Bank, the International Financial Corporation, and the Office of Tony Blair. Guide entrepreneurs through the startup administrative process. The complexity of many aspects of business regulation makes it important to put in place effective mechanisms to help entrepreneurs through administrative procedure for starting their business. This is very important for startups because new entrepreneurs are not familiar with common processes and often have to go through many initial administrative procedures for registering their business, obtaining licenses and authorization, exactly at a time where they are struggling to build their new business. In January 2006, Macedonia has introduced a one-stop shop system that enables an investor to register their business within 4 hours. One can register a company in Macedonia by visiting only one office, obtaining the information from a single place, and addressing only one employee. The one-stop shop system operates within the central register via 32 electronically integrated offices located throughout Macedonia. As a part of the policy review process in the Gambia, UNCTAD found that the institutional capacity to measure and benchmark administrative efficiency was very weak. Although company registration in the Gambia has been made simpler, the one-stop shop automated registry is only available in Banjul, the Kinifi municipality, and this fast-track service is not accessible to the public online. As a result, registration is still very costly and requires many steps, even though the Gambia reduced registration fee and canceled the tax deposit. To reverse these constraints identified, the new entrepreneurship policy in the Gambia identified useful measures, including to introduce the customer's charter, a short statement describing the level of service a customer can expect from a governmental agency, to enact a bankruptcy law to help viable companies survive while safeguarding the interests of creditors, reducing the regulatory and administrative hurdles to close a business, to develop e-regulation system, a web-based e-government system supported by UNCTAD. Please visit businessfacilitation.org.